And many thank yous, Sir Craig.
Wow. Changing it up. We're getting a little bit different.
Why not?
We can evolve.
How
Welcome
you doing?
back. I'm doing great. How are you?
Oh yeah, she's plodding along.
Yeah, that's good.
Huh.
Um, I'm at the Gold Coast.
You are?
Yeah. We're gonna be this time tomorrow I will know for sure what I think of Jungle Rush.
Lovely.
I will also probably be at the park this time tomorrow because we have there is an after dark event tomorrow which I have a ticket to.
Yes, of course. So yeah, you'll be able to ride the claw for the last time.
Yeah, it's the last time at night that the claw will ever operate. Um, before it closes the 27th, so 10 days from now, as at time of recording.
I would be like sad and lamenting not having been able to ride it, but at the same time, I've been on a gyro swing before. I think I'm good.
Yeah, it's not like it's a coaster that's closing or something like
Yeah.
that. It's a fairly generic flat ride, but also I feel like the other reason we're not lamenting it too much is like give it 10
It's
months and
getting
we'll have a
replaced with
better
something
one
better.
anyway. It'll be a better one anyway, so
Yeah.
we'll be fine. But it still will be nice to get last rides.
Nice.
Um, but yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun.
It's been a big one in the news lately. Poor old California is not doing great lately. Los Angeles.
Yeah, it's not looking too good.
Yeah. Um, you know, thoughts to people, who've, lost loved ones or lost, property and memories in their homes. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a really horrible situation to sort of
I'm sure we do
see
have
happening.
some listeners in California as well. Obviously, quite a big coaster and enthusiast and theme park community there. So obviously, all of our thoughts with you guys.
Yeah.
Um, Pretty scary times. It's
There
been a
was
big one in lots of different news at the moment.
yeah, it's,
Yeah, the world in
people
2025.
yeah, right. People dropping off like flies as well.
Yeah, David Lynch.
Yeah, found out that today.
Yeah,
One of the
crazy.
one of the Titans.
Yes. My most
Uh,
powerful film was Eraserhead. Can you elaborate on that? No.
no.
Uh,
I love it. It's so good.
no. Big one in theme park news here in Australia too. Courtesy of Jag's Journeys, literally earlier today. Um, Doomsday Destroyer is being dismantled.
Destroyed. The destroyer has become the destroyed.
To be clear, it is not yet confirmed that this is a permanent closure, but judging by the fact that signage is being removed and components of the ride are being removed, I would say seems likely.
I mean, the thing had been sitting there collecting dust for how long?
Yeah. My only thought is maybe there's some major renovation from Intamin coming along, but I
I
don't
think it's
think it's
just,
worth. Yeah, it's not worth that kind of money, I don't think.
and also it's had too much bad publicity from just being either operating at half cycles or not operating at all. It's just like people aren't going to go, oh, yay, Doomsday Destroyer's running, you
Yeah,
know?
no, it was not that popular of an attraction to begin with anyway.
Yeah.
It also is just a really shitty version of that ride model. Like if you're gonna have an inverting,
Twin
like
Hammer.
yeah, like an inverting twin hammer. The
Do
first
the one at Luna Park, Melbourne,
yeah,
at least.
well, actually, no, actually, don't do that. Um, the first inverting twin hammer I went on was a traveling model at my local agricultural show, and it actually like it was a fun ride because it actually sped up with gravity and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
so you'd actually, you get a bit of speed, you'd get a little bit of like float and stuff, a
Yeah,
little bit of
whereas Destroyer is just like it's just on this one speed that goes around the entire time. It's like there's no sort of rush, of
yeah.
like making it over the top and then swinging back down kind of thing.
The only thing I can say for it is thank God it had those pretty comfortable Intamin restraints, because otherwise it would have had nothing to offer except a really painful hang time.
Yeah.
The only saving
And we
grace
have
was
Sledgehammer for that.
yeah, we've got Sledgehammer. We don't need more of that. I was talking about it today actually about how I'm glad to see Doomsday Destroyer go. And I was thinking, in the last decade, other than DC Rivals, can we name a good decision that Movie World has made?
I feel bad because this has turned into like the movie world bashing
It,
podcast.
we bash it because we love it. It's like when you've got a naughty child. Like
Yeah. Oh,
you've got a
maybe we don't bash the naughty child,
we
but
don't bash the naughty child. No, it's loving criticism. That's what it is.
yes.
Oh, someone on the Gold Coast has got a fancy motorbike and just drove right past their apartment. Um, yeah, no, I'm just reflecting on this now because Doomsday Destroyer was installed in what, like I imagine 2016 or something like that.
Yeah, I'm not even sure.
So it's lasted not even a decade. I know for a fact it didn't last a decade. Um, and I just can't think of another thing that they've done besides DC Rivals that has really stood out to me as that was a good move, a good decision. And so
I
I'm
mean,
hoping I'm hoping that they whatever they do with that space is, if not, like, it doesn't have to be anything world class or groundbreaking, just do something interesting and cool and focus on executing it well.
yeah, totally.
Because yeah, I mean, I will reserve my judgment for Wizard of Oz for all the shit that I've spoken about what we've seen in the build up. I will not know for sure what I think of it in person until next Wednesday is when I'm going. So
And who knows, maybe they'll add some seating and bins in there in that time.
yeah, maybe I'll. I'm happy to wait and see what I truly think. But yeah, I think Doomsday Destroyer is going to be remembered as a sign of a struggling, not so much struggling or like unsure era of movie world.
It's like, Dreamworld had its own dark age, and movie
Yeah,
world dark age seems to have lasted for the best part of the 2010s and into the 2020s.
yep, yep. And I think the only good thing to come out of that really the 2010s at all is DC Rivals. I feel like what else was added in the 2010s? Green Lantern was right at the very start, and I'd say it's a mid edition. Like it's
Yeah.
good, but it's nothing groundbreaking.
Yeah.
Um,
It's a car park coaster.
yeah, it is a car park coaster. So I yeah, like I don't know, it's kind of weird because I suppose Dreamworld and Movie World both had kind of dark ages overlapping a little bit, and that's maybe
Mm.
why I thought of Movie World not that long ago as being the front runner and the
Even SeaWorld is only just coming out of its dark age.
yeah, yeah. So I guess they were just all overlapping, and that's why I kept thinking of, not that long ago, I would have said Movie World was by far the best park on the Gold Coast.
Yeah.
Um, and how quickly times change, I would
Mm.
I would now say it's definitely not. Um,
Yeah, totally.
so
But fingers crossed they pull a rabbit out of their hat and, get
yeah,
back into the swing of things.
I would definitely like to see a whatever goes in that space. If Doomsday Destroyer is indeed permanently closed and being removed, I would like to know. I would like to see them do something interesting with that space. Not even necessarily a ride.
Yeah.
Um, go back to your roots. Do something. Do a show. Do a
Yeah, turn that Batman Legacy thing back into a theater and do a show.
yeah. Do it. Do a good show. Do a good like movie studios show. I like
Yeah.
those special effects thing they have at Universal Studios, like the The one that I really, really loved at Universal Singapore was I don't remember the name of it, but it's the one where you're inside a soundstage and like they simulate this a big like cyclone
Oh
hitting
yeah, yeah.
yeah, that's so cool.
And the
I love
the
things like that.
the big sort of cruise ship almost like crashes into the boat shed kind of thing.
Yeah, the big yeah, spoilers if you do enjoy not enjoy seeing those things, but yeah, at the very end of that show, the big ship just crashes right through the wall. Actually jump scared the shit out of me.
But yeah, like, upgrade sort of what the old movie magic thing part of the studio tour was back in the day, and then
Yeah,
turn it into a show.
yeah, like a nice modernized version of that. Yeah, exactly.
Um, because Lord knows they need to rejig. Like, and we talked about this with Jags. Like
Yeah.
we're sort of repeating ourselves, but yeah, they need to refresh the stunt show. And so if they need to do that and have time to do that, get another show going on in that venue
Mm,
while they're rejigging the stunt show.
absolutely. Something I did want to bring up on this podcast actually, because so this week in advance of coming to the Gold Coast, one thing now that I'm back in Australia that I wanted to do was I decided that my late Christmas present to myself was going to be a season pass to either Dreamworld or Village Roadshow,
Sure,
so that I could come up here if I get a spare weekend and just go to the park.
sure,
Um, and the deciding factor was that our good friend Riley from That So Mid and also Dane from Dane's Theme Park Life pointed out to me that I was going to be up here during this After Dark event and that it was pass holder only. So I was like, well, I was leaning towards Dreamworld anyway. I'll buy myself the Dreamworld season pass and get a ticket to After Dark.
sure.
Um, and for all that I've spoken in my videos before about how our theme parks are not very good value because it's $105 for a day ticket for an adult
Yeah.
to any of the three parks at the moment, and Wet and Wild also, which is even more outrageous. Um, but the annual pass for
Well,
Dreamworld, the annual pass for Dreamworld is $179.
it's pretty, yeah.
That's
That's paid for in 2 visits.
yeah, less than two visits. Like all I have to do to have saved money is come back up again when King Claw opens, and we're good.
It's the same thing with the Luna Park Sydney pass. It pays for itself in 2 visits.
Yeah, and I think that's so that's so cool. I that's literally all I wanted to say. Like I didn't know how much of a conversation this would be. Evidently not that much, because I
No,
just
it's
wanted to say it was cool.
no, and it totally is good value, especially if, you are someone who goes to the parks on a regular basis. It's 100% worth it.
Oh yeah,
And being that
absolutely.
we're enthusiasts, it's totally, you know,
Well, yeah,
a very worthwhile enterprise.
I'm living back down near Green Valley Farm kind of area, so it's maybe 5 or 6 hours driving to the Gold Coast. But if I get a free weekend, that's absolutely worth it. I'll
Yeah, totally.
come up and go to Dreamworld, get a few rides in, maybe grab a bit of extra footage if I'm short of B-roll for a particular ride or something like that.
Nice.
Absolutely worth it. $180 for an annual pass when day tickets are 105. It's really good. It's really good.
So would you fly from, like, Armadale, or would you drive?
Probably drive. The problem with flying from Armadale is that Armadale only has two possible destinations, which are Sydney and Brisbane. The Brisbane
Right.
flights are run by Link Airways, and they're quite expensive.
Sure.
So yeah, I guess I could fly to Brisbane and then public transport from there, but I feel like actually the fuel would end up costing less.
Fair enough.
So yeah, I'll probably just yeah, I love a road trip anyway.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I'll plan on if I haven't got a lot of work to do and I've got a free weekend, absolutely I'll be headed up to Dreamworld again. And like I said, once King Claw's opening, I'll probably be itching to get back up here anyway. So annual pass was a no-brainer.
Yeah, for sure. Have we heard any rumblings about, the wild mouse at Luna Park Sydney yet? It's gonna be happening this summer, that's what they've said, but, like, is there anything more specific that you may have heard on the grapevine?
I have sources. I won't
Okay.
reveal too much about those sources, but obviously I have sources. I used to work there. Um, I know that it's basically done in terms of like um, what's like the work that has to be done, but I don't know where they're at with how much commissioning they have to do, how
Yeah.
much or anything like that. I don't know what the process is like, or if it's any different to what it would be like if they built a new ride. I imagine it probably isn't any different,
Yeah.
um, since it essentially is new almost everything.
Yeah.
So, um, but I know that as of the last update I was given by my inside sources, there were cars on the track.
Okay.
So that's, you know,
A good sign.
that's very near to pretty much the next step after that is when will we see them circulating?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I would say it's coming along.
It's got to be February, surely.
I'd
End
hope
of
so.
Feb.
I'd really hope so. The only thing that I can see delaying it is obviously it is a very complex situation that Luna Park has with the wild mouse because as far as I'm aware, it actually no longer meets several safety standards as an
Okay.
amusement ride, and it's got a very specific um kind of it's kind of specifically negotiated for with the New South Wales government because of its heritage listing.
Sure.
Um, so I don't know if that commissioning and testing is going to be slightly more complicated than it would be usually, just because they have to ensure its safety while also, you know, objectively on the surface, it doesn't meet our current industry standards,
Sure.
um, which is complicated. Like safety is safety, but heritage is also heritage. Like
Yeah.
where do you go with that?
Either way, I'm not going to be getting on it until at least March.
You poor boy.
It's yeah, just one of those things.
Yeah,
I'll be out of the sling by early Feb, but it's also a case of that's just when I can move my arm. There's still a whole lot more bone healing to do in that time, and I'm not about to put my body through that unless it's well and truly on the way.
yeah, yeah. That's it's unfortunate.
Yeah, it just sort of derailed my plans for the year. I was hoping to get my entire list done, but save for Scooby by March, April, and that's just not going to happen.
Yeah. Well,
Ah well,
hopefully, by the time that you're recovered and ready to go again, most of those things should be good to go. I feel like, well, yeah, all you'll be waiting on is potentially Scooby, I guess.
and I have ridden Scooby before, so it's you
Yeah,
know
not a new
when
credit.
we get to March, I might be given the all clear, and then I'll be able to finances depending, maybe squeeze in a quick trip up to the Gold Coast and do like a speed run through the parks.
Hmm. That's another one that we have to ask the question on, though, is Scooby. What the hell is happening?
Yeah,
What's going on?
I'm wondering whether or not we're getting the theming back. We talked about this with Jags last week,
Yeah.
and I'm starting to doubt it.
Yeah,
I reckon it's a complete mechanical overhaul, but no theming.
yeah, I hope not. I hope that we're wrong on that. Because I know that from what I've been told, I know that they're aware that the theming of Next Generation was not well received.
Yeah,
So I hope,
you would
particularly
hope.
with
Yeah,
particularly with the response to Wizard of Oz, with it being like, certain elements of that are slightly underwhelming. I would hope that they're not gonna do another sort of that'll do.
yeah.
Uh,
That if a movie world to regain its crown, it needs to not half-ass it with the theming. For something
Definitely.
that used to call itself Australia's better only theme park, it's
Mm.
distinctly lacking on theming.
And since I would say, and again, I haven't been on it yet. As of tomorrow, I will have been. But judging by what's being said about Jungle Rush, But when Scooby closed, it was the only extremely well themed family coaster in Australia, and it
Yeah.
had that over everybody's head, and it was just in another class. It's no longer in its own class.
Yeah.
There's competition in that regard, and I think for that reason, Movie World, if they really want to have that still as this flagship attraction that everyone's gonna go to choose Movie World for, they need to make it the best.
Yeah.
If it can't be the only, it needs to be the best. So yeah, mechanical upgrade was needed because the ride was getting uncomfortable for
Mhm.
sure. But um, but I hope they're not leaving it at that.
Yeah. You know, but who who knows what the people in power, what their decision making process is.
Yeah,
Like
it's
there's plenty of information that we're not privy to. That you know, whether
of
it's
course,
budget
yeah,
constraints, whether it's what's
yeah,
what was the thing, uh, fast and cheap versus
yeah.
good
The
and fast.
triangle that you can do it fast,
Yeah.
cheap, or well. You can only do two of those things. You can't have all three.
Yeah.
Um, which is yeah, very very true. Um, I think they need Scooby back operating. Um, but I hope that they don't rush it because they need Scooby back operating.
Yeah.
Um,
I think that was the whole reason of getting Wizard of Oz up and running, so that it was able to fill that, to be the stopgap into the very large gap that was in their
yeah,
lineup.
lessen those issues a little bit. Definitely,
Yeah,
I can definitely see why they wanted it open as soon as
because
possible.
with Lethal Weapon gone, Doomsday down, and Scooby down, there was a
Mm.
very big gap in their lineup. So thankfully,
I
now that Wizard of Oz is there, it's helped fill it up a little bit.
Yeah, help to disperse those crowds a little bit and give the families something to do because really, yeah, there was nothing really in that category at all without Scooby. So it's good. It's good that they got them open. It reminds me a lot of the Emerald Park situation last year,
Yeah,
um, where I was saying at the time what a shambles the presentation of Tiernanog was when it first opened. Um, the day before, it didn't have paved pathways, um, but I think they got to the point where they realized that they were coming into summer. They were getting sellouts in the weeks after that already. Even before they'd officially announced that Tiernanog was opening on that date, they were getting sellout days. Um, and I think they were just getting really, really worried about both the negative press that would come from people who'd book their tickets and would get there and it was still wasn't open, and also just from trying to deal with those crowds without these additional attractions.
yeah,
So I think they were just more worried about, look, the coasters are done, get them open, we can deal with all the theming and presentation elements later. And Movie World situation does kind of remind me of that. I think maybe they had a lot of different factors going on. Rivertown probably put a bit of pressure on them coming into that peak season where they're expecting the big crowds post Christmas. Um, they're lacking in their other family coaster attraction with Scooby being closed for refurbishment. They just needed the coasters open. So I hope that also means that there's things that they skipped over and that will be finished at a later date.
fingers crossed.
Yeah, we hope so.
Yeah.
We always want the best for all of the parks.
I don't know what it's like up where you are at the moment, but it has been wild weather in Sydney over the last couple of days. Um, right outside right now, it has been blowing a gale for the last 2, 3 days. Um, yeah, trees dropping branches. I think a tree came over in Hyde Park today. Um,
Jeez.
yeah, just everything's freaking wild. You've got this
It's,
happening here. You've got fires going on in LA. You know,
yeah,
crazy
it's
weather
crazy.
all round. But no, climate change isn't real.
No, of course not. Of course not. Um, No, it's fine up here at the moment. There's a grey cloud on the horizon out towards Brisbane, but like no rain or anything so far. It's a very pleasant temperature. But when I drove up to my, because I'm traveling with my family, I drove up to meet my dad at his house yesterday, and that was about an hour and a half's drive. And I almost stopped. I got caught in it. Must have. I'd say it's the most challenging drive I've ever had
Yeah,
since starting to drive. It was visibility was I couldn't see probably 30 meters in front of me.
because the heavy
Uh,
rain, or
just heavy rain. There was also
yeah.
hail at one point of it.
Ooh, jeez.
Um, yeah, and it was slippery as well, extremely slippery. Um, and I had a P plater in front of me for a
Oh
good
God.
portion of that drive, who didn't seem to understand that it was a bad idea to brake late in those
Oh,
conditions.
okay.
Every time something happened, like, he was tailgating this other person in front of them, and every time like they slowed down or something else happened, he would brake extremely late, and
Mm.
I would
It's where
just
you,
have like very little reaction time to begin with. But I'm like, man, if you make me slam on my brakes, this car's not going to stop. I'm going to be sliding right into the back of you.
yeah,
Um, yeah, so it was nerve wracking, but I got home safe.
good. Yeah, it's one of those things when people do that, it's just like leave them a lot of room.
Yeah, sitting right back. Look, the speed limit the whole way between where I was coming from and where I was going is 100 k's an hour. I don't think I went above about 85 most of the
Yeah,
trip, and 85 was like the very best conditions that I got the whole time. Um, I was sitting mostly between like 60 and 70 because even I was like, no, I'm too nervous to go any faster than that.
100%.
It was brutal conditions. So yeah, there's been storms about. I think there's scheduled to be rain up here tomorrow, but I don't know if that's going to be a storm or just standard rain.
For once, I would like to be living back in precedented times, you know?
That would be nice. Can we stop living in like through historical events?
Yeah. I
Can
think
we just
someone
live
said
in
it better than me. It's a wrap on Miss Earth.
yeah. I don't like living through major historical events, or at least so many of them at the same time.
Yeah. It's hard not to be, you know, and not to be all doom and gloom, but come on, man.
Yeah, really, come on, man. Oh, it is tragic times we live in.
Oh, yeah.
But at least we have roller coasters.
Exactly. And, you know,
The Dark Ages didn't have roller coasters. Can you imagine
yeah, they just
living
had
through
to,
all?
I don't know, pull a wagon up to the top of a hill and hope for the best.
Yeah, no block zones on that thing.
Was what were they called? The Russian mountains, the Montagne Russe.
Yeah, yeah, the Russian mountains. Yep.
Um, and it's one of my favorite things that I like to talk about is that in Victor Hugo's Les Miserables, the character of Fontaine liked to ride roller coasters because it talks about her riding the Russian mountains.
Fontaine was a Thuzy confirmed.
I dreamed a dream is about riding roller coasters.
Yeah, she didn't give a shit about him. She was just like she was imagining King Dakar in her head.
Yeah.
She was like,
That's what she meant when the tigers come at night.
yeah, exactly. King Dakar. She foresaw it in a prophecy, and she was like, "Wait, you mean I get a Russian mountain that's 400 feet tall and goes 200 k's an hour? Oh my god, she's she's the ultimate born in the wrong generation."
100%. And then she despaired that she wasn't going to be alive to see it. That's what got
Yeah,
her in the end.
it was nothing to do with Marius.
No. Well, I don't think it was anything to do with Marius. I think Marius was a wasn't quite on the radar at the time.
Yeah. Oh man. Oh well. Welcome to our weird podcast where we talk about Les Miserables,
Roller
King de
coasters
Car, and
and, catastrophic climate change.
the end times.
That's the thing. Like, I just hope that I last long enough to be able to ride roller coasters until my body gives out, and then die an honorable and swift death in the water wars.
I just want to make enough ride operator friends that when the end times come and my death is inevitable, I'll just be like, right, we're breaking into a theme park. I'm getting on. You dispatch it. This is where I die.
Yeah. What, you don't buckle yourself in or anything?
No, that's how I want to die. Yeah. Chuck it in manual mode, dispatch me without my harness. I'll get flung off the first airtime hill, and that'll be the way I go.
What a way.
What a way. He died doing what he loved,
Yeah.
getting flung off roller coasters.
Which roller coaster do you think you'd pick?
Oh, God.
This is getting bleak, but, whatever. Let's just go with
What
it.
roller coaster do you want to die on? I feel like just thinking out of like my top 10, the one that would be most likely to be a relatively swift and painless death if you rode it without a harness would probably be DC Rivals, because solid first ejector airtime moment and it's
Just
high
going
enough
over
that,
that first hill.
yeah, like you just get ejected and that's like what, 60 meters tall. Yeah, very little chance of accidental survival. Whereas while my others in like my very, very top tier that I love the most, like Tutatis and Voltron, are equally like tall and fast and powerful, their first elements are a little bit not quite so tall, fast, and powerful.
Right.
I'm
I'm
looking at this from a very morbid standpoint of just I just want to die swiftly and painlessly.
swift and painless, yeah. So,
Yeah.
I would think that more along the lines of, like, um this is getting really bleak, but something that, having a special milkshake that sort of makes me a little bit drowsy and then sort of getting flung off the wild mouse into the ocean at Luna Park, Sydney.
Yeah, okay. See, again, my fear there though is that I fall into the harbor at Luna Park, Sydney, and I'm conscious for either drowning or being eaten by Port Jackson sharks or whatever they have in there.
I don't think a pork Jackson shark is gonna be doing much eating. It might have it gum you.
I love Port Jackson sharks.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I feel like maybe, yeah, I don't know. It's a good question. Do I want to have fun or do I want to die swiftly or do I want to, who knows?
Where's that euthanasia coaster when you need it?
Yeah, we need euthanasia coaster in real life. Are you familiar with RT Game?
I don't believe so.
So he's an Irish YouTuber. Um, and usually I don't like watching very many gamers on YouTube. I just don't really get into the whole watching someone else play a video game. But he has a long running series and he's actually been sponsored by the name of the game studio is escaping me, the ones who make Planet Coaster. Um, I've forgotten
I
their
I
name.
I just got Planet Coaster 2, I should know this.
The whatever the studio is
Yeah.
that makes them, they've sponsored him to make these videos where he just makes death parks. He just
Okay.
tries to like kill as many people as possible. And one of my favorite things he's ever done is just out of curiosity, he built a coaster up to the height limit, like the highest he could build it, and then just created a really, really tight spiral all the way down underground to the lowest limit that it would let him build.
Right.
And it builds up some incredible G force, like thousands of positive Gs, to the point that like scientifically it would collapse the earth if
Oh my god.
it's real. But it's just the most hilarious. He calls it the blender. And I even though like even though it's just so stupid, I love watching those videos. Just watching all of his creative ways of creating the most chaos and destruction possible using only theme park rides.
Nice.
That's what I want. That's what I want. I want to go on the blender. I want
My
to
my
experience 7,000 positive G's.
my question to you, sort of changing tack because we're getting a bit
Yes,
bleak.
we are.
If you were to think of an existing IP that could be turned into a roller coaster experience, what
Ooh.
would you want to see?
Ooh. You're asking some really good questions now. Um, Existing IP. It's hard to think of significant ones that haven't already been turned into something or other. Oh gosh, I'm gonna need some time to think about this one. I mean, I have advocated for Mad Max several times.
Hmm.
Um, Mainly just because of its Australian flavor, and I feel like it's honestly a travesty that we haven't tried to do something with it at our theme parks. Um, yeah, I don't know. What about you? Maybe Mad Max might be my answer actually.
I would like to see something along the lines of a switchback thrill coaster
Right.
themed to aliens,
Ooh.
like the alien
Okay.
xenomorph from the Alien movies.
Yeah. I mean, to me, Alien or Aliens or Alien 3 or whatever, more screams Dark Ride to me.
But that's what I'm thinking, like a very
Yeah.
heavily themed
Yeah, I guess so.
switchback kind of coaster.
I'm kind of imagining more of a like ride system, something like Transformers. Like your kind of Omni mover with the rotatable the chassis can rotate and everything, kind of like a slow moving, but yeah, like Guardians of the Galaxy, Cosmic Rewind, but slow moving.
Yeah.
Um,
Or
just because I
even
feel
like
like
a Voltron, like a what do you call it? Was it a
Striker,
Mark Striker?
yeah, could do. I feel like if I want an alien ride, I want slow moving because I want jump scares.
Sure.
Um, Although I could see it definitely having fast moments of like pursuit and that sort of thing. Like it could that could work really well.
Mm.
So yeah, it could be a coaster, I suppose.
Yeah, I just
But
thought that was a really cool concept.
there's a lot of horror movies that could work really well for, if not roller coasters, then theme park rides in general. And I
It's
think
why I
that's
found
it's a
sorry,
very
I heard you.
underutilized genre
Yeah,
because really the only one I can think of is Saw and The Walking Dead at Thorpe Park.
which don't strike me as very roller coaster-esque experiences.
No, definitely not. Like the theming on Saw is nice. I haven't been on The Walking Dead because I it was one of the ones I chose to skip
Mm.
because I just wanted the big coasters. But Saw, the theming was good. I would describe it as a very similar experience to, something like Superman Escape, where the theming's really, really good, and then it's not. Like you're just on a coaster.
But that's how I think an Aliens thing could work if you had that very heavily themed dark ride experience, and then it's like an ejector pod kind of thing when you think that the xenomorphs are all about to converge on your coaster train, and then it's just like
Yeah.
escape, escape.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I could see that. That'd work really well, actually. Um, I think there's some that have been done but not done very well, like Indiana Jones.
Yeah,
I feel like that screams out for something, especially think about the ride system on Minecart Madness that's going into
yeah, totally.
Universal Epic Universe. That, but faster and more thrilling.
Because
Do that.
the roller coaster at Disneyland Paris for uh, Indiana Jones is a bit meh.
Yeah, well, I haven't been to Disneyland Paris, but even looking at it, I'm like, well, you have so much potential there with that franchise. I don't know
I
how that's
found it disappointing,
yeah, I
personally.
don't know how that's the best they come up with. There's so much potential in that franchise.
Well, because the actual ride itself isn't particularly Indiana Jones themed. It's just jungle themed around a temple kind of thing.
Well, yeah, and there's iconic moments that they the first thing that came to my head here is you could have in some way do a dark ride with the boulder chasing after you,
Totally.
um, like from Raiders of the Lost Ark. Um,
Like, I
yeah,
feel like Temple of Doom is the obvious choice.
I mean, Temple of Doom is the obvious choice, but like, um, yeah, it's definitely underutilized.
Mm,
Um, Now I'm just thinking through all those 80s and 90s classic franchises. Like obviously Back to the Future had a dark ride at
yeah.
Universal. Um, Jurassic Park's had plenty. Um,
E.T. had a ride, but it was a dark ride.
yeah. Yeah, I don't think you could do much more with ET than what they did. It's
Nah, it's
definitely more of
very
a
family. It's.
yeah.
Um,
Obviously Jaws had its and still has. I think the Japan one still operates.
yeah, I
It's
believe so.
classic. Yep, it's classic ride, which honestly one of the coolest ride concepts.
Oh, yeah, totally.
So cool. I'm actually devastated that I didn't ride it when I was at Universal Japan. I was a little 10-year-old boy and I was too scared.
Aw.
But I'm now very worried that by the time I get myself to Japan, it might be replaced with all of the work that Universal are doing right now.
I
So
I
hope
feel like it's
fingers
so
crossed.
heavily established, and I think they've done a good job of keeping it maintained.
Mm,
So
yeah,
it would have to be a good reason to get rid of it.
but I would have said the same thing about the one at Hollywood. Um,
Hollywood didn't really have a Jaws ride per se. They had the Jaws part of the backlot tour,
you're
but there
right.
was
It
no
was
dedicated Jaws ride.
Florida, not Hollywood. I don't know why I said I was thinking it was at Hollywood.
Mm,
Um, yeah, I can't think of any others that are underutilized now because I think that a lot of the big ones have been jumped all over. Disney have Star Wars and Marvel covered,
yeah.
perhaps excessively so.
Well, what's
Um,
something that people sort of have aggressive nostalgia towards?
ooh, um,
Something that appeals to both millennial parents and kids.
oh, you know what? So, firstly, I'm going to preface this with as a Nickelodeon kid, I want to see Nickelodeon Universe done well because
Yep.
the way that those parks are being run is a shit show, honestly.
Well, they're all very amusement parks with signage.
True. Yeah, I would like to see it done properly themed, but even worse,
Yeah.
you don't
Sort
see
of like how
MMT
Crush's
Shellraise.
coaster is done.
Yeah, Shellraiser hasn't operated in over a year now.
Has it really? Okay.
Yeah, it's been SB&O for over a year. Um, I don't remember who it was, but one of the creators that I follow on Instagram posted on their story visiting it like a day ago, and not only was Shellraiser still down, but Sandy's Blasting Bronco was not in operation, and I think a couple of the other coasters were not in operation as well.
Oh, no.
I think they said the best thing they got to ride was the Fairly Odd Coaster, which is the Intamin Surf Rider.
Sure.
So basically, Flash Speed Force.
Yeah.
Like,
Um, Getting off topic, we will come back to this because I do want to hear if you think of something.
yeah,
Have you seen that influencers have been invited to see Universal, the Epic Universe Stellar Nova Resort?
I think I saw some photos from it.
Yeah, so videos are now coming out over the last day or two um,
Ooh,
of tours of the resort itself.
I will have to watch that very closely
So this is
because
just the still. So there's the two out the front, and then there's the fancy one in park. So this is one of the two out front, the more family
yeah,
cost, like
yeah,
affordable option. So you go in with that in mind. It's
mm,
nice, but it's very. It's like obviously the no frills.
yeah,
They've done it.
not yeah, not the the really, really special accommodation that they're going to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Um,
I'm going to
but
keep
it's
a close eye on that because I will reveal this for total Bearloney exclusive.
ooh,
Now that I'm planning my trips for this year, I'm looking at one in July, and what I think I want to do is focus on getting somewhere where something new is being built in
sure.
2025. So I have a number of options. It'll all depend on what opens when and whether things are delayed. Um, but I'm keeping an eye out for
Awesome.
whether I delay that trip and wait and see if it's Epic Universe or if it'll be something else. I don't know. We'll see.
Okay.
But
Interesting.
that's one of my major trips this year. I want to go somewhere where I'll be covering something new. Um, so take with that whatever you will. It could be Yoi, it could be anything. So I will definitely be looking into that because Epic Universe accommodation is something that's on my radar.
I have heard somewhere that apparently Yoy is supposed to be pronounced joy. I don't know how accurate that is.
If that was the case, wouldn't it make a whole lot more sense to spell it Joj?
I don't know. I'm not a
Because
scientist.
I would totally understand it if it was spelt like that because J makes a Y sound in some European dialects and languages. So I could see Joj being pronounced joy, but I'm trying to justify in my head how you can pronounce a Y as a J sound.
They do
It,
in lots of Latin American countries.
do they?
Yeah.
Huh. This is
Um.
coming. This is news to me, and I speak a little bit of Spanish.
Oh, well, I. This is going to sound really random, but like there's queens on RuPaul's Drag Race that their names start with a Y and they pronounce it with a J.
There you go.
It's,
I didn't know
yeah.
that. Well, still, I would say that still makes less sense because the link between Wallaby Holland and Latin America is essentially non-existent, whereas the link with Scandinavia, or I even think Dutch actually pronounces J's as Y's sometimes.
Mm. There
So
was a girl I used to work with that was Venezuelan, and she would talk about how she'd go to yoga class, but she'd call it yoga class.
there you go. I didn't know that. I stand corrected.
This may be just a random niche sampling that I know of, but I don't know how universal it is.
I still think it's a stupid name, regardless of how it's meant to
Oh,
be.
100%.
It is a dumb, dumb name. Um, I've just found out the lights in. Oh wait, the lights in my room do work. There you go. They just take a while.
Hooray!
Um, Going back to your original question, the reason I brought it up Nickelodeon. So obviously I am a Nickelodeon kid, so like that's more important to me. But Cartoon Network has a lot of properties that I think have not really been utilized to their full extent.
Mm. I
Um,
also wonder whether Cartoon Network has passed its cultural prime, or whether I'm just the wrong person to be asking.
but I still think that a lot of like the 90s and 2000s kids have a lot of nostalgia for Cartoon Network as much as they do Nickelodeon. Like I personally have
Totally, but
nostalgia for
they're not necessarily going to be the target audience for someone building a Cartoon Network world for this
True.
day and age.
I think so for me, like with Nickelodeon, the one that I would say like why is there not a well-themed ride to this is Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Mm.
Um, there's the cultural relevance of that is
Was that
and it's
produced originally by Nickelodeon, or was that something that was, Nickelodeon became
no,
the
it was
US
an original
distributor for?
Nickelodeon show.
Okay. Hello? Hello?
Yes, I just got disconnected for some reason. Um,
Make a mental note to trim out that random gap.
I got kicked out. Um, no, yeah, Avatar: The Last Airbender is an original Nickelodeon show.
Okay.
It's the style is inspired by Japanese anime, but it's American, and
Well,
originally in English.
speaking of anime, I believe they're doing a Dragon Ball theme park in Korea.
Yeah, in the Kadia city, yeah, which is wild.
Yeah.
Um, but you know, a little while ago, I would have said, take anything that comes out of Kadia with a grain of salt. Um, but
But
now
it
that they've
seems to
kind of
be
just
happening.
gone and built Falcon's Flight, I'm kind of like, oh, they're serious about
It's like
this.
this is a thing.
Yeah, I mean, still pending whether Falcon's Flight works, but
Yeah.
I mean, even if it doesn't, they've got a park built with a lineup that's better than most, like 99.9% of parks in the world,
Yeah.
even if you take Falcon's Flight out of the question. So yeah, they're fully serious about it. Um, yeah, that'll be interesting. That's another one that like I feel like very specific um demographic is going to be interested in that because I feel like Dragon Ball in general. Is there any content coming out of that universe right now?
I don't know. It was very turn of the millennium for me.
Yeah, I don't think it's currently the last thing I think that had any like mainstream appeal was when they tried to make that live action movie of it and it was the most terrible thing
Ooh,
ever
yeah.
conceived. Um
Let's not talk about that.
don't get me started. We'll talk about the Avatar The Last Airbender live action movie.
Christine
Oh
Daae as
God.
Bulma.
What
You're
is
not having
going
great luck, are you?
No, something about because my internet is still working fine. I don't know what it is about this hotel Wi-Fi that doesn't want me to be in this community. Why did I say community podcast? Where did community come from?
It didn't like you talking smack about the Dragon Ball movie.
I was about to talk smack about the Avatar movie, so I like maybe M Night Shyamalan is listening in and he's mad.
I was just laughing at Christine Daae being cast as Bulma.
Oh God. Um. Yeah. No. I would like to see a well-themed Last Airbender ride.
Yeah,
Because what they have Avatar rides at the Nickelodeon Universe parks, but I feel like they're all just like fairly generic.
I would want to see like a zip coaster park themed around Attack on Titan,
Oh my God, that'd be cool.
right?
That sounds like a Japan thing to do. Japan would
Totally.
do Japan
But
would do a lot
how
of
awesome would that be if you had
it would
zip
be great.
coasters around giant Titan statues?
I was looking at a Japanese park where they have pandas, but then they also have rides that are just all themed to pandas. Everything is
Okay,
panda themed. I
that's
found out about it because they're home to the worst coaster on Captain Coaster.
okay.
Like it's got a 0.2% rating.
Did people think they were pandering to a certain audience?
They thought it was unbearable.
Ah! Dad jokes are contagious.
Yes, they are. They're catching. Um, Speaking of the worst coasters on Captain Coaster, I put a short out about this lately. Have you heard about this manufacturer from Eastern Europe that supposedly does not exist?
I saw your video, but had not heard of them prior to that.
Yeah, so these coasters they've started to gain a little bit of attention because there was one built at a park in Poland that's not like a big park, but a park that people are aware of the existence of.
Right.
Um, and they built one. And If you look on the RCDB page for this manufacturer, it says, "We don't even know if this is a real company. We just know that these coasters are not like anything else that's built, so it's not like another company." And it's got this written on this Yamasakuta Lab written on the side of the cars. So we're assuming that's the name of the company, but we don't know where they're from, who they are, or if they're even real, or if this is just a ride being built by another company that we don't know about. Like, what's going on? I'm confused.
I'm
And
sure
now I
it's
want to.
somewhere, but no one,
Well,
who
yeah, but like
knows?
they've got no website, they've got no presence anywhere that anyone can find. So I'm like, how are people finding these rides to get them built? Or are they just
I'm
like
assuming
building them?
RCDB are onto it somehow.
Surely they always are. They
Well, if
find the most.
RCDB managed to dig up Don Mosley Playground and, all of the other Grant Telfer designed rides, I'm sure if you drop them a line and say, "Hey, who the hell is this?" they'd get people sleuthing onto that, no problem.
Yeah, I'm sure there's people trying to find out. But yeah, right now, so this is a quote from the RCDB page for this manufacturer. "Nothing is known about this Yamasakuta Lab company. If that is even the name of the company, the company is presumed to be located in Eastern Europe and produces oval, double oval, and figure eight roller coasters with Yamasakuta Lab written on the cars."
They fully did a, "if that is your real name."
Who are you?
I'm sorry, who are you?
Wait a minute. Who are you?
They pull the rubber
Oh,
mask off and it's,
we need to get into Vine references on this.
Oh man, what is going on?
That Vine reference was so bad it got me kicked out of the podcast.
Road
This is
work
so bad.
ahead. I sure hope it
Sure,
does.
it does. It's I don't know what's happening with this. I assume it's just the Wi-Fi I'm on because at this point I'm keeping it in. It's a running gag in this episode.
At some point, we're gonna have to call time of death.
I think if it keeps happening that frequently, we might just have to call the episode. But it's kind of funny, honestly.
Oh,
Um,
hotel Wi-Fi, bless.
yeah, it's been running really, really well. I've uploaded a video from it and everything, so I don't know why it doesn't seem to like Discord very much, I suppose.
Maybe it's like the constant sort of stream. I don't know. Well, no, if you can
Yeah,
watch videos, surely you'd be able to transfer that kind of data.
you'd think so. Yeah, no, it never hiccuped when I uploaded the video, and that took like it was a big video, so it was like half an hour.
Mm,
Um, so I don't know why. I don't know what's going on, but here we are.
here we
Um,
are.
I'm not going to call out the apartments because they're very nice, so they're doing a good job. Um, just fix your Wi-Fi. Oh boy. So, what will be your first act upon getting your arm out of your sling?
My guess is to get on Wild Mouse at Luna Park, Sydney.
Yeah, yeah.
This is roller coaster related. Or are we talking about just as soon as I'm allowed out of the sling per se?
Oh, either or. Like, yeah, I guess Wild Mouse would probably be your first. But what are you gonna do once you're allowed out of the sling pre roller coasters?
Oh, just be able to get back into an exercise regime. As someone who sort of committed to a very heavy fitness program prior to this happening, it's kind of been a shock to the system. And I need to get back into it because I feel myself getting more and more unfit as I'm sort of sitting on my butt all day.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Tried ordering some extra slings so that I could get out and start exercising and not have the one sling get constantly gross. Um, but they have yet to show up, and by the time they do show up, I'll probably be out of the sling.
Well, at least you have spares for next time.
Yeah, let's hope that I
Which
don't need to
hope
use them.
there never is one, yeah. Man.
But yes, so that'll be a big thing, and also, just be able to wear a t-shirt again because I've been wearing a lot of button-ups because that's all I can put on right now.
Yeah. It's always those little
Um,
things that you don't even think of
mm, just
until
being able to raise your arms above your head.
yeah, you don't
And
even realize how much you, um not take it for granted, but, like, you don't even think about how you won't be able to do that until you
it's a rude shock to the system when you realize you're not as independent as you thought you were.
yeah. I had the same experience being on crutches.
Mm, and just sort of not even being able to open a jar kind of thing, or reach something on a higher shelf.
Hmm.
Like, you've got one good arm, but, say if you had to lift something that was heavy off a higher shelf, you wouldn't be able to do it on your own. Like, something that required more than one hand. Um, yeah, it's just it being, yeah, a little bit of a rude shock, and it's, you know, enough to sort of make you start contemplating, what it's like when you get older kind of thing.
Yeah.
Not to get bleak again, but yeah.
This has been a really sad episode,
We've
hasn't it?
been, yeah, very somber.
Very sad. For my first night up at the Gold Coast, it's been very, I should be excited. I should be pumped. I should be like, "Woo, Dream World tomorrow.
Woo! Sorry,
Woo-hoo."
I've been bringing up a lot of the somber topics, so I do apologize.
No, no. We all like to go on a nice somber deep dive into the tragedy of existence.
Stare into the void and whispering to the void, "Are you mad at me?"
I didn't ask to be bored. Uh,
Me
but
after
yeah,
staring at the wall for 4 hours. God, it sucks how I don't have time for anything.
Dream World tomorrow though.
Yay!
Yay. You know what? Besides Jungle Rush, obviously, the thing
Yeah.
that I am most keen for is eating at Jane's Rivertown restaurant.
You'll have to tell me what it's like. And,
I
uh,
am
I'm assuming it's gonna
so
be like pub food,
I don't know. I've heard that it's got some good grub, so I don't know if it's like
but, I when I say pub food, I don't say that in a negative context.
oh yeah, I don't know what to expect. I did catch a glimpse of something on a Dreamworld Instagram short that came up on my reel and I was not fast enough to swipe away. But I didn't really assess what it was like. I've been very intentionally avoiding. The only thing I've seen very much of is Murrissippi Motors because honestly, I don't know if I'm gonna commit the time to ride it.
"Oh, do it. You might as well."
I might as
Unless
yeah.
you're trying to squeeze multiple parks into one day.
Well, I've got a lot of I've got plans for videos. I've got a lot of B-roll I want to get, and I obviously still want to get rides in on my favorites. Like I want to ride Steel Taipan. I want to ride the Giant Drop. I want to ride Gold Coaster. All while going around and getting all this B-roll. So, and obviously Jungle Rush is the priority, and I've got to ride it at least twice to get the different cycles and see which I prefer.
Yeah,
So it's Murrissippi Motors. I'll probably do it if I get time. Maybe I'll do it at the After Dark event when I'm
sure.
going to be less focused on filming because I'm not planning to vlog it. Um,
I'll be really curious to see what Murrissippi Motors is like after dark. See what their
yeah,
lighting package is like.
I'm curious to see the lighting package in the area in general because I have heard some rumors that they're quite proud of what they've done in terms of lighting.
That'd be awesome.
So I'm not gonna I'm not gonna say I have high expectations because that's setting myself up for disappointment, but I am expecting it to be more than just street lamps.
Cool.
Um, so we'll see. I'm very eager. I'm very glad that I'll get the chance to experience it at night as well. Um,
Awesome.
and of course, ride the claw at night.
Woo!
Ooh, goodbye, Claw. Rest in peace,
Pieces.
pieces.
You shall be succeeded by your progeny.
Yeah, you shall be directly replaced. um, I, it really is like, when you leave a job and they're like, you've been an irreplaceable part of this team, and then they immediately fill your role with someone
Yeah.
better.
So we've got King Claw, and what is this? Pleb Claw?
What is this? A claw for ants? It's actually, the thing that I'm most excited for with King Claw, um, is not necessarily the increased size and speed. It's the better restraints.
Yeah, 100%. It'll
Like,
be interesting to see also how it looks on the skyline, especially walking down the main street.
yeah, I'm very interested to see how this footprint is going to be oriented.
Because from what I understand, it's uh, 90 degrees
Yeah,
if
it's going to be swinging towards
towards.
Main Street, not out towards the front of the park.
Yeah.
Um, so
Which I think will look more impressive on the skyline at the exterior of the park because
yes,
you'll
but
be able to see that.
I feel like something's going. What I'm hoping is going is that little area in between where they usually put. Every time I've been there, it's usually like a gazebo with someone just selling kind of unrelated shit in
Yeah.
between the claw and the entrance to Shockwave.
Oh, yeah.
Um, sometimes they use it for like I feel like they have like marketing space there almost. I feel like sometimes charities or businesses come and um,
Right.
promote themselves there. I don't know what it is exactly that they have going on there. Someone could maybe enlighten me. Um, but yeah, there's usually that little, very temporary looking kind of shop set up in between the claw and the entry to Shockwave.
Sure.
So I'm hoping that that's kind of going to go, and then that will all just become footprint and queue area for King Claw. I'm just wondering how this influences Shockwave though.
Yeah. Well, it's not like Shockwave has a very tall, I don't know, what do you call it?
No,
Vertical
I'm not.
footprint.
I'm not at all suggesting it's going to get removed or something. Um, it's just going to be interesting. Yeah, I'd almost say it doesn't feel like there's enough room there for what they're proposing, but I suppose I've only ever seen it with the claw there, and once you take that out, there's probably a whole lot more room than what I'm imagining.
Yeah. I'm just
Um,
thinking, like, if it's that much taller and it sticks out that much more, how much clearance is there going to be with the giant sunshade?
True, very true. I think it should still be all right. Like if we're thinking that what I'm imagining in my head right now is that the supports on the Main Street side would maybe be currently where the limit of the claw's footprint is right now.
Right.
So if that was the case, I would feel like it would still have clearance. It would swing over the shade, like not it would not overlap with the shade sail, I would say from there.
Okay.
I think like my level my scale of Dreamworld is very much based on very intermittent visits as a non-Queensland local. So I could get there tomorrow and be like, oh wait, there's not as much room as I thought there was. Um, but I don't know.
Be very curious to see it once it starts getting built. That's the
Yeah,
thing. It's, now that Jungle Rush and Wizard of Oz have opened, a lot of the Gold Coast content creators seem to be in this weird limbo period where they don't really have anything to monitor, because there's no
yeah,
construction happening.
yeah. I, I don't envy Jags and Theme Park Ogre and those sorts of creators. We say a million times about how like we all have our own niche and we all do what we do and we do it well, and so we kind of don't want to step on each other's toes because we know we wouldn't do it as well anyway.
Yeah.
But I don't envy them at all because I feel like, and they do a great job. They still create good content, but I feel like I would struggle.
Me
Like
too.
I'd be thriving during that construction period. I'd be like, yeah, great. I'll go back. I'll get my season pass. I'll go back at least once a week. I'll be doing constant construction updates, and anytime there's news, I'll do a video about that news and whatever. And then we'd get into a period like this, and I would just have no idea what to do. I would
Well, that's
be
a
I'd be lost for content completely.
and that's the thing. That's what's going to happen with my channel eventually. I won't be able to put as much stuff out on a regular basis because you know my missions will become harder to fulfill on a regular
Mm,
basis. Um,
mm.
I will run out of coasters in Australia, and it's expensive to do international flights from Australia. So
Yeah,
it
it'll be
won't
become
like for people who
spares.
complain that I don't put stuff out regularly enough. I'm like, sorry, but I have to space that shit out.
Yeah, make it last as long as possible.
Totally.
Um, yeah, I obviously the end of my major mission is much more on the horizon, but I do foresee a time in like maybe 5 to 7 years or something like that where I won't be finished, but the countries that I have left on the list will be much more difficult
Yeah.
to plan a trip to and require a lot more, like potentially be countries that I'm not comfortable going to anyway, or be countries that like I have to do a lot of planning in terms of visas or security or something like that. And I'll probably end up in a similar situation then, which is why I still do enjoy creating other content as well. And that'll probably become the case. But I do worry about like, will Coaster Odyssey just fade out of people's collective consciousness if like it takes me a year to produce another episode at some point?
I think it's hard when if you get to a point where you rely on YouTube to be a financial support, like income, um, because obviously that's a thing. I and you're back.
That was very rude of me.
But yeah, I can see how it would be difficult, especially if you're using YouTube as financial income.
Mm.
I have not approached YouTube that way because I'm trying to, on a personal level, I'm trying to just use it as a creative outlet and hobby. I think
Mm.
once I start looking at it as a job, then it starts to become less fun.
Yeah.
I don't know how you feel in that regard, but yeah, that's just my own personal viewpoint. And so I don't mind if I don't put content out as regularly. In
Yeah.
essence, it's kind of like a video diary for me.
Yeah. Um, I'm still in an adjustment phase where I'm trying to learn how to treat it more like a job because I feel like it's gotten to the point where, you know, I kind of need to treat it a little bit more seriously. But I'm trying to learn how to do that without losing the
Burning
love that
yourself out.
comes with it. Yeah, losing the love that comes with it being a hobby as well.
Mm.
Um, I think I've found a nice balance so far for the 2025. I've been really enjoying what I'm doing. Um, my New Year's resolution is to stop being a perfectionist. Um, So I'm kind of okay with the fact that a lot of the time I'm running late on a lot of things, and
People will deal, man.
yeah, like it's fine. It it doesn't matter. The only reason it matters to me is build myself that I would do something, and I get mad at myself when it doesn't quite work out that way.
Yeah.
So it's all in your head. Um,
I was getting upset at myself for not getting my Adventure Park Geelong episode done by now. And I'm like, Kieran, you're operating with one arm at the moment. Give
yeah,
yourself a break.
yeah, absolutely. You should
No,
be.
not another one, but you know.
Preferably not that type of break. Yeah, no, you should
But
be
yeah,
resting.
so I'm trying to give myself that grace.
Yeah, absolutely. Um,
I would like to take a moment to just extend our thoughts to Theme Park Ogre and family, who,
Oh, yes, of
as you
course.
may have seen on socials, are going through a difficult time at the moment. So, TPO and fam, our thoughts are with you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I hope
Um,
that you get out the other side of this.
very
Um,
much loved member of the community. I've always had interactions with Theme Park Ogre in both versions and in direct messages and stuff as well. So, and obviously admired for a very long time in the Aussie theme park space. So, I hope that
100%.
I hope that they're doing okay and that all of the extended family is doing okay. Um, yeah, our best wishes to Ogre and family
Absolutely. To the
and friends.
whole ogre clan. Yeah.
Yes. Um, yeah. Not to make light of that, but you've done it again.
Oh,
The
making things bleak. Yeah, it
somber
seems to be
episode,
my thing.
the somber episode. Really just we're stuck in today, guys.
Just give me like a blue wig and some glasses and a turtleneck sweater, and I'm sadness from inside out.
I'm anxiety.
um,
Oh,
yeah.
thank you
On
for
that
listening
note,
to a sad episode of Total Bearloney. The title for this one almost writes itself. I don't know whether to title it the sad episode or the episode where Jake keeps disappearing.
where'd Jake go?
Jake plays peekaboo with the podcast.
uh, um, but yeah, I'm excited for you to get to go to the Gold Coast, so that'll be awesome.
Yes, it'll be good. I was not expecting to get to these coasters so soon. So I'm very excited. New credit, the first time sit up, so hell yeah.
Awesome. Um,
And it's
so
actually
yes,
this is a rare trip for me because there's 5 credits up here I can gain on this
that you've
trip.
not done,
Yeah, that I've not done, which is so rare for me on the Gold
and you'll
Coast. Not since the first time I came up here. This will be the most new credits since the first time I went to some of these parks.
I'm trying to think of how many new ones I got while I was up there. 'Cause I did Steel Taipan, I did Big Red Boat. Um,
Red Boat.
yeah, I did what was it? Leviathan, SpongeBob, and Jet Rescue, and Flash Speed Force,
Anything new at Movie
DC
World?
Rivals,
Yeah. So more
and
than 5, yeah. Because like, was there anything
I
else
think
at
there was
Movie
one
World you
more
haven't?
that I missed at Movie World.
Did you ride
Spy,
Flash?
Roadrunner.
Ah,
So 8. I got 8 new credits while I was up there.
it'll be 5 for me this time because I do count Kansas Twister as 2 credits.
So do I.
Good, good. We're on the same page. It's
Even,
actually
even
it's less controversial to me than I thought it would be because I actually hadn't looked very closely at the layout. But now, upon seeing footage of it, I've realized that they actually do differ a little bit.
yeah, they do. If they were completely the exact same, then yeah, obviously I would consider it a lot more debatable. But yeah, they're
Yeah.
different shaped tracks.
See, yeah, the debate for me is when it's a racing coaster with identical
Yeah,
layouts. I
100%.
s- I would still count it as said argue if you built two identical like Legendia used to have 2 cyclones
Mm.
for some reason. I'm like, well, that's a park with
Two
2
se-
identical coasters. What if you just put them next to each other? Are they still 2 identical coasters? Are they
yeah,
still 2 credits? So I'd still say yes, but like I see where people are coming from with that.
Sure.
But Kansas Twister, now that I've looked up close, nah, they're different enough. They're dueling coasters. They're separate credits. Deal with it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
And that's on period.
yeah. You can straight up fact.
And that's the T.
That's the way the news goes.
Oh gosh. I sound like such a boomer trying to keep up with the kids' lingo.
Just trying to think of that scene in Rick and Morty, which I don't watch, but I remember that scene of like where he has all the nonsense catchphrases that he clearly just improvised on the spot. Um, and that's why I always say Slum, Chum, and a bucket of torches.
Oh.
Oh, yes. I need a catchphrase. Let's have a catchphrase competition. Leave a comment down below with what my catchphrase should be, and the winner will become my permanent catchphrase. I will say it in.
Slum, chum, and a bucket of cum.
That's going to be my catchphrase every time I enjoy a coaster from now on. Get off the coaster. Yep, had great airtime, was really smooth. That's why I always say, "Some shall come."
Oh.
Uh,
On that note, we
what
should probably
a
wrap things up.
That's a great way to end the podcast.
Where can they find you, Jake?
They can find me YouTube at Maloney's Coasters, Instagram at Maloney's_coasters, Blue Sky at Maloney's Coasters.bsky.social, and TikTok. I forget the handle, but the name of the account is Jake from Maloney's. So find me. What about you, Kieran?
You can find me at Ejector Bear Time on YouTube and at ejectorbeartime.bsky.social on Blue Sky.
Lovely. This has been an episode of Total Bearloney, and as I always say, club chum in a bucket. Come.
What a bucket! What a bucket!
What a bucket.
What a bucket!